You're listening to The Bible Guys, a podcast where a couple of friends talk about the Bible in fun and practical ways.
Oh, no. You threatened us you were going to do that.
Well, that didn't go very well.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I thought it was going to be better. I thought you were able to hear me more.
No. Oh.
But no, the problem was
threatened?
These microphones are so small.
And it was too much. Yeah,
it was too much
water.
Yeah, I should have lifted it up. I could probably do it better. Yeah. Can you gargle and sort of talk and sing?
I don't know. I'm not going to do it. No.
Don't do that. Hey, there you go. It sounded better.
Okay.
At least you could sort of hear it.
All right.
So that was awful for those who were definitely listening.
If there's anybody else still listening.
Right, correct.
Today is a big day.
It is a big day because Absalom is going to have a big conflict.
That's exactly right. Don't give it away.
No, we're not going to give it away.
It's a big secret for this one.
So before we get into that, we have a segment real quick that is called One Must Go.
Ooh.
We should come up with that.
One must go.
Something like that, yeah.
It should be like, what was the big fighting game? Finish him.
Oh, remember? Like Mortal Kombat?
Mortal Kombat, yeah. That's what we need. We need a Mortal Kombat kind of a voice.
Or we could do One Must Go. We could do that. That's not bad. All right, which one of you are keeping and which one has to go away forever? So what we're saying is this is for the world, right?
Yes, for the whole world forever.
Yes, for the whole world
It literally
forever.
says go away forever for everybody.
No, it doesn't say everybody.
No, it's just for me.
No,
For me personally.
Now, that's where the controversy
Which one
comes in.
are you keeping and which one has to go away forever?
Okay, well, this changes the rules. So is it for us or is it for the world,
I think
Jeff?
it's for everybody. We're in charge of the world.
Okay,
So
we're in
whatever
charge of the
decision we
world.
make, the whole world suffers.
All right, number one. Oh, my goodness. The smell of fresh cookies goes away forever or the relaxing sound of rain.
Oof. I bet I know which one you choose.
I would have to, as much as I hate to say this, the smell of cookies has to go away.
Really? I would have thought that you would keep cookies.
No, because rain is universal. Not everybody gets cookies around the world, but everybody has the relaxing sound of rain.
Oh, really?
Right? I mean, think about
So you're making your choice for the world.
That's what I said.
Once again, no, I mean, but it's your compassion on everybody.
Yes.
Your love for people.
Don't you know by now, Jeff?
It's not what you want to keep.
Don't you know by now, Jeff, that's all I think about is others.
Others. Yeah, that's it. Okay, I was going to say I'll keep the fresh smell of cookies and get rid of relaxing rain.
Just because you like that smell?
Smell is a very powerful scent.
So it's sound.
Yeah.
Sense. A sense. Yeah,
yeah.
okay. All right, number two.
Although I will say one of my favorite sounds in the world is the sound of rain on a tent. I love it.
Oof. Okay. Not a tent for me, but maybe on a roof when I'm
there's
inside.
something about being in your sleeping bag on your cot and it's raining outside, but you're dry inside, and all you have is like a half a millimeter between you and that rain. It's great.
Or in your nice cozy bed.
Yeah.
And you hear the rain
on your rooftop.
The rooftop.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
If you're on the second floor. All right, here we go. Number two. What goes away forever? Social media or reality TV?
Ugh. Both, please.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yep.
You gotta pick one though. Go.
Which one?
Yep.
Which one do I hate more? Reality TV. I hate worse than social media.
I'll agree with that.
Yes.
I'll agree with that.
There's almost nothing redemptive in reality TV.
Yeah, but there is something redemptive on social media.
A little bit on occasion.
Yeah, a little bit on occasion. Yep. Okay, number three. What goes away forever, Jeff? Board games or video games?
Oh man,
This is hitting home, buddy.
She's mean today.
Yeah, that's right.
She woke up on the wrong side of the bed and decided.
Yep.
Desiree decided she's just going to ruin our lives.
Yep.
Board games or video games?
Yeah.
I think board games have to go.
I do too.
You're a video game guy?
No, but again, I'm thinking for the world.
For the
Jeff.
world?
Yeah.
Because everybody has video games, nobody has board games.
The future of gaming are video games.
Yes.
Right. So the future of gaming is not board games.
Well, that's a huge sacrifice, people, because Chris and his family have game night.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so that's a big one.
So once again, I'm thinking of others, Jeff.
And so do we. We love board games too. But,
Board games are great.
We like party games more than board games, I think, a little bit more. So, yeah.
Okay. All right, number 4. What goes away forever, Jeff? Road trips or plane flights for domestic trips?
Plane flights.
Really?
Yeah, I love road trips. It's because I'm on a plane all the time. That's probably why.
Right.
Although you don't get to go as far. So I wonder, is it practical or is it for enjoyment? Enjoyment, road trips. Practically, I would rather fly to LA than
drive to LA. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to do like Route 66. That'd be fun to do.
Right.
Once. But the other 95 times I've had to fly to the West Coast, I'd rather fly.
Once again, I'm going to read.
I'd choose road trip.
I'm going to read this question as if it just goes away forever. Not like semi, but total. So I'm going to say road trips have to go away because come on, right?
So here's your problem now.
You can't.
How long does a road trip have to be before it's a road trip? How would you have gotten here?
Hey, let's go to Dairy Queen road trip.
Yeah. So how would you have gotten to the studio today without any road trips?
How
would you get to the office?
Yeah. So I would say there's a condition on my choice.
Okay.
Which is we would have to define what road trips are.
Yeah, I think road trips are trips on roads.
No, that's not. It's not a trip.
Well, so flights.
It's not a trip.
Plane flights are flights in planes.
I got news for you.
Right?
When you got up today and went to the studio, you weren't taking a road trip to the studio.
I didn't. No. I didn't walk through the woods.
Define the word trip.
It's traveling. It's the ability to travel to a place.
No.
Sure.
No.
Well, so same thing with flight. Plane flights. A plane flight is a flight on a plane.
This is a ridiculous
and a road
conversation.
Trip is a trip on the road.
This is a ridiculous conversation.
I just think you're not going to be able to go anywhere if you get rid of road trips.
No.
All right. Anyways, go ahead.
I disagree.
People, this is pretty much Chris and my life. Right
by the way,
we argue about nothing for 5 minutes.
Can I just add
that
the whole world would be a better place if we just had Star Trek beam
would be
everywhere.
Yes, beam me up, Scotty.
Yeah. Okay. All right, and then finally, number 5. Early morning meetings or late night meetings? Something has to go away forever.
Ooh, I don't know. The problem with late night meetings for me is I get so revved up, it's going to take me an hour or 2 to go to sleep after the meeting.
Yeah.
Because I get really, my brain is going a million miles an hour. I'm very excited about good meetings, but I hate early morning meetings too.
Yeah. So I'm going to definitely say, without question, late night meetings go away forever.
Really?
Yeah, because
without question.
Without question. There's not even a question.
Okay.
Here's the reason why. Because if early morning meetings went away, then that would mean late night meetings would have to be more of an option.
Oh, right.
And in my life, late night meetings are so rare that I hate them like more than life itself. And I think I hate them way more than I hate early morning meetings.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to go with you on that one.
Okay.
Okay. You and I are together on that one.
Yes.
We are not together on road trips versus plane flights.
Yes, because we define road trips as semantics.
And we're not together on cookies and rain.
Cookies and rain. Well, I just try to think of everybody.
Well, you
Jeff.
know who else was not together? Absalom and David.
Ooh,
we're not together.
There it is. The perfect segue. He nailed it. That's so great.
That's terrible.
That's terrible.
We are real radio pros. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, that's right. Speaking of road trips, Absalom's about to go on a really bad one. That's terrible.
So, if you're tuning in with us, David and Absalom have been squaring off. Absalom, his son, is the heir to the throne. He has decided, after maneuvering for about 8 years or so, to pull off a coup, attempt to pull off a coup against his father. His father runs out into flees out into the desert, into the wilderness with his armies and his people, and because he doesn't want to fight Absalom.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, it looks like now Absalom, we just read about how David's praying, even though I'm surrounded by 10,000 men. So now he feels surrounded. This is in, Psalm 3?
Yep.
Surrounded by 10,000 men. And then here we are in 2 Samuel chapter 18, and it says this in verse 1. David now mustered the men who were with him and appointed generals and captains to lead them. He sent the troops out in 3 groups, placing one group under Joab, one under Joab's brother Abishai, son of Zeruiah, and one under Ittai, the man from Gath. The king told his troops, "I'm going out with you." But his men objected strongly. "You must not go," they urged him. "If we have to turn and run, and even if half of us die, it'll make no difference to Absalom's troops. They will be looking only for you. You are worth 10,000 of us, and it is better that you stay here in the town and send help if we need it." "If you think that's the best plan, I'll do it," the king answered. So he stood alongside the gate of the town as all the troops marched out in groups of hundreds and of thousands. Can you imagine? That's it. You think of that Lord of the Rings kind of marching,
Hundreds of thousands,
right?
yeah.
Hundreds and thousands.
That's unbelievable.
And the king gave his command to Joab, Abishai, and Ittai, "For my sake, deal gently with young Absalom." And all the troops heard the king give this order to his commanders. So the battle began in the forest of Ephraim, and the Israelite troops were beaten back by David's men. There was a great slaughter that day, and 20,000 men laid down their lives. The battle raged all across the countryside, and more men died because of the force than were killed by the sword. During the battle, Absalom happened to come upon some of David's men. He tried to escape on his mule, but as he rode beneath the thick branches of a great tree, his hair got caught in the tree. His mule kept going and left him dangling in the air. One of David's men saw what had happened and told Joab, "I saw Absalom dangling from a tree." "What?" Joab demanded. "You saw him there and didn't kill him? I would have rewarded you with 10 pieces of silver and a hero's belt." "I would not kill the king's son for even 1,000 pieces of silver," the man replied to Joab. "We all heard the king say to you and Abishai and Ittai, 'For my sake, please spare young Absalom.' And if I had betrayed the king by killing his son, and the king would certainly find out who did it, you yourself would be the first to abandon me." "Enough of this nonsense," Joab said. And then he took 3 daggers and plunged them into Absalom's heart as he dangled still alive in the great tree. 10 of Joab's young armor-bearers then surrounded Absalom and killed him. Then Joab blew the ram's horn, and his men returned from chasing the army of Israel. They threw Absalom's body into a deep pit in the forest and piled a great heap of stones over it, and all Israel fled to their homes. During his lifetime, Absalom had built a monument to himself in the king's valley, for he said, "I have no son to carry on my name." He named the monument after himself, and it is known as Absalom's monument to this day.
Yuck.
Well, there you go.
3 daggers into his chest, and it actually says 3 daggers into his heart, but as he dangled, still alive in the tree. And then it says 10 of Joab's young armor bearers then surrounded Absalom and killed him, which means, okay, number one, think about this.
It's a pretty rough way to go.
Well, listen. Before that, remember we talked about I think last week sometime, that his hair weighed 5 pounds?
5 pounds of hair.
5 pounds of hair.
200 shekels is what it is.
5 pounds.
Yeah.
So he's got this long flowing hair. We talked about Rapunzel or Crystal Gale or somebody where it just must have been ridiculous.
I mentioned Troy Polamalu, by the way, the NFL Hall of Famer. So I think you mentioned Rapunzel.
Well, let's face it. Women have long hair, mostly.
That's correct.
Mostly.
And Absalom.
Apparently. Yeah. So anyway, here's what I'm trying to say. To dangle from your hair.
Yes.
Has anybody ever grabbed your hair and tried to lift you up? Oof. Even when they grab you, I've been in a fight before where somebody's, which is a terrible thing to say, but somebody's grabbed my hair and like even pulled me by my hair. Even to pull you and just direct you when you're able to take the pressure off and use your legs, but to dangle by your hair means. And by the way, he dangled long enough for somebody to see him and then go tell Joab and then for them to travel back to the tree.
Through a battle. Through a battle. He's coming, he has to get across the battlefield, get to the general. Yes. Then the general has to get back with his 10 armor bearers.
Yes, which means like he's dangling from the tree for like an hour probably. Yeah. Right? Or at least 20 minutes.
This is one of those moments where Absalom's thinking, I should have carried a pocket knife.
Right.
Just cut himself down.
Yeah, what the heck? Why?
Yeah, apparently he didn't have a sword?
Yeah,
he didn't have something.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
I guess so. Well, either way, so let's not overlook the fact that the forest was apparently brutal. So we can get to that in a minute. But so maybe perhaps his hair being so large just had tangled up in such a way to where he couldn't get it out. But
so my grandfather was friends with Jacques Cousteau, if you remember the great underwater explorer.
I remember you telling me that before,
And my grandfather, when he was older, grew his hair real long. So he had really long hair. He'd always wear it in a ponytail. And then he was an explorer scuba diver, pretty well-known explorer. He was one of the early developers of scuba. And so he was in a cave of coral. And this is right before he got married. He remarried again when he was 70. So he must have been like 68 or 69. And he got stuck in a cave. His hair got stuck in coral, and he couldn't get it out. And he had just noticed on his dive watch that it was time to go up. He was about out of air. So he's swimming through this coral cave. You got to be really careful in coral caves. You can't touch them, or sometimes they'll slice your suits.
Oh,
and
yeah,
stuff,
coral's
right?
brutal.
And he was in a high-pressure place, so it was really deep water. And he's going through this coral cave, and he gets his hair stuck in the coral, and he can't get it out. And so we would go months not see him because he was an adventurer. He'd travel all around the world, do all kinds of crazy stuff. And so we just never knew who he was. And then he wouldn't ever call. He'd just show up. He'd just show up at the house. We'd stop what we were doing, hang out with Grandpa for a while. Kind of this eccentric old guy. So he shows up one day. His hair's all gone, right? And I'm like, what happened? He's like, I got stuck in a cave. I had to cut my hair off. And so he used his diving knife to cut his own hair. So every time I read this passage, I'm like, dude, he just should have had a knife, right? If he just had a knife, he cut his own hair.
Right.
But that's why you should go prepared, boys and girls.
There you go.
Absalom clearly was not a Boy Scout.
So there you go. You could do this whole entire sermon on just be prepared.
Just be prepared.
Yeah,
and he wasn't
right.
prepared.
Be prepared.
He certainly wasn't a Boy Scout. That's what I can tell you.
Well, and so then he hangs there. So that's brutal. And then Joab sticks 3 knives, not 1, not 2, 3,
right,
into his heart. But somehow he still lives.
Yeah.
And then 10 people have to surround him and then stab him until he dies? I mean, this is brutal.
Yeah, it is.
Brutal. And then they throw rocks on him.
Yeah.
On his corpse.
But it's really amazing when finally David, Absalom pushes this fight.
Hey, by the way, and then Joab says, that'll teach you for burning my field.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the truth. He didn't say it here, but he was thinking it. You little punk. Get rid of this guy.
Burn my field.
Yeah, that's right. So these are hard men, and these are extraordinarily hard times. And so the Bible is just recounting what happened. But it's pretty phenomenal that this guy comes up against David, his own son, and David retreats. He doesn't want to fight him. David is willing to abandon his throne and leave his palace and go back out into the desert where he had lived for so long. He would rather suffer the struggle and the difficulty of living in the wilderness than the privilege and the power of sitting on the throne in order to not have to fight his own son.
Yeah.
But we know clearly David can rout his son at any moment. David is so far beyond Absalom. So Absalom is out over his skis, right? He thinks he's better than he is. He thinks he's more capable than he is because he's able to, with a silver tongue, win over a few key advisors and leaders. He thinks he's better. He just totally underestimates his dad. And he decides he's going to go up, and David decides, I'm just not going to fight him. But here, David's surrounded by 10,000 men. He goes, okay, right, now's the time. We're gonna have to square off. I don't want to. And so he begs him, please be gentle with my son.
Well, he has hundreds of thousands of men.
Yeah. But I mean, in his prayer in Psalm 3, it's 10,000. But we know here it's hundreds of thousands of men, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's hundreds and thousands, it says.
Oh, it doesn't say hundred. It doesn't say hundreds of thousands.
It says hundreds and thousands of men, is what it says.
It says hundred. Well, actually, it says hundreds and of thousands.
Yes.
Okay, that's worded pretty.
Right. So it was groups of hundreds and groups of thousands is what it's saying.
Groups is the operative
marched
word.
out, right? So if you're thinking, do you remember like in Lord of the Rings or any of those movies where the armies march out and they
sections and blocks.
March out in sections and blocks, right? That's what's happening. Is that here's a division of thousands. Here's a section of hundreds.
Yeah, so I read that wrong, and I perceived it wrong.
Right, and 20,000 men die in this battle. But what I was wanting to highlight here is he's like, hey, listen, for my sake, deal gently with this young man Absalom, and just David's compassion for his son. Even there, don't kill him. And of course, when Joab finds a chance, he kills him. So.
Yeah, and by the way, I wonder why. I mean, Joab used to work for Saul as well, right? Yeah. So Joab has been a general underneath Saul. He's been a general underneath David, and then
but Joab was an early follower of David.
Yes.
So David and Joab were generals together, and then David leaves and Joab goes with David.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just wonder why.
The other one you're thinking is Abner.
Yeah.
Became Saul's top general.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess I just wonder why somebody so close to David's father and to David would have disobeyed David's wishes. Is it because he knew that his master didn't have the strength to do what is absolutely necessary? If Absalom would have lived, this would have there was no other.
I think he thought he was putting a rabid dog down.
Yeah,
I think that's what he's doing. Because you look at Joab did things. Joab was extraordinarily strategic and practical, very pragmatic. Joab found ways to manage his boss, get his boss to the right point, all that kind of stuff. He's a very, very savvy leader, and I think he just decided in this moment, David doesn't have it in him, and we need to put this rabid dog down, or this kid's going to come back over and over because he was so talented. He's going to keep coming back at us over and over and over again.
Yeah,
so he killed him.
And to be honest, in order for him to have pulled off what he had pulled off up to this point, again, I talked about it last week, but super impressive, right? To build something and have patience for 4 years, and then to execute it in such a manner is just, it had to have been completely impressive.
Yeah, it's tremendous talent wasted.
Yeah,
is what you have here. So David is please don't kill my son. Be gentle with him. And I just see here with David now, you got out over. David's trying to have compassion. You got out over your skis. You were thinking to my sons, as they got older, 15, 16, 17 years old, boy, they got strong.
Yeah.
They got really strong. But I used to tell my boys all the time, there's a difference between young man strong and old man strong.
Right.
Is that true?
Oh, good.
It's true?
Yeah, really, really
and
true.
my boys talk about it now. So my oldest son's 29, my youngest son's 27, and they still say that. So what happens, man? Because if we're going to if we're going to wrestle for 15 minutes, these guys are going to beat me. If we're going to throw 3 punches, I'm going to beat them.
Right.
Right? It's just that way. And it's the funniest thing. And so I used to tease them all the time. Hey, if you ever think you want to beat up your dad, you better bring it all at one time. Because you're not going to get a second chance, right? And they would always laugh, and it's always just, we don't have an adversarial relationship. We have a very good relationship as boys, but there's always that, too much testosterone in the room kind of thing.
Right.
We're always jawing at each other and stuff. But my boys say that all the time. There's a massive difference between old man strength and young man strength. And so here we go. David's forgotten more about battle than Absalom has ever even thought of, right? And for some dumb reason, Absalom decides he's going to take on his dad, and his dad retreats and goes, I'm not going to fight you. Finally, he's completely surrounded. He goes, okay, here we go. Here we go. And David didn't have a problem bringing vengeance and justice against all of Absalom's people because they'd all committed treason against David to go fight for Absalom. But he said, don't kill Absalom. Just be gentle with Absalom. And I love the father's heart there. I don't know if that was the right answer. Maybe Joab had the better answer there. But I love David's heart to say, I love my son no matter what he's done.
Hey, we can't end our time without talking about the fact that the Bible just happens to say, oh, by the way, 20,000 men died that day. The battle raged across the countryside. And by the way, more men died because of the forest than were killed by the sword.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It was a forest of Ents. And all these living trees just got them and started beating people up. Is that what it was?
Hey, what was it? Hang on, let me do the quote where he says, "Yeah, we just don't like little worms." Are you trying to make my apples out something that not to be?
Yeah, there you go. Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, Wizard of Oz. Yeah.
The moving trees. Yeah,
You're trying to make my apples out to be something they're not, something like that. And he starts throwing them, right?
Yeah.
I'll show you how to get apples.
Actually, I don't think that's it.
Okay, no.
It's just it's the terrain was that rugged and that difficult.
Yeah, what a holy cow! What a moment! What a epic movie that would have made, right?
Yeah.
So for somebody to be fighting in a forest to where there was cliffs, there was dangerous ravines, there were just really prickly trees, like whatever there were. Holy cow! But more men. It didn't say a lot of men. It said more men died because of the forest than were killed by the sword.
Yeah, so the note here for verse 1 says, David took command as he had in former days. In recent years, his life had been characterized by indecisiveness and moral paralysis. At this time, he began to take charge and do his duty. I love that. And what happens? The army thrives. The military thrives. A decisive victory happens, right? Great leaders, the leader of the families, the leader of the office, the leader of the church, the leader of the community need to be decisive, not indecisive, need to step up and do their duty. And when they do, when leaders give what leaders are supposed to give with integrity, everybody thrives and the team wins, right? And that's what happens here. So awesome. I love it. I love everything about this part of the story, except for the fact that this kid dies. But,
yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, hey, that's our time now. So we will see you hopefully next time on the Bible Guys.